I can start my presentation. Am I right?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. And um, good afternoon, good evening to people who joined this session. This session is specific to how do you manage detractors during Agile transformation. So I'll be sharing some of my thoughts and experience as how do you identify such kind of detractors and what are the different methods you can employ to tackle such detractors. Let's start with a situation. You are part of a company and you've been asked to lead the agile transformation in the organization you have been working for the last couple of years. So you already know the process, different types of people, so on and so forth. So when you have been asked to lead agile transformation, you will have numerous questions. The first is, how do I get started? What's the starting point? Do I need to have a big plan or maybe a rolling wave plan? How do I get started? There are different stakeholders. I mean, these people are my colleagues in the past. Now I need to leverage their support and their cooperation in order to make this agile transformation as a successful one. How do we manage those people's expectations? What about the culture? The culture is mostly top down, command and control, where people would like to be told what they need to do and how do they need to do. But agile embraces more of servant leadership, more autonomy, giving accountability to people. So I need to transform this culture. How about the existing tools, process, practices? We have been using Microsoft Project Plan. Now I need to switch to Jira or version 1 or Rally, whatever. The new roles, Scrum Master, Product Owner, etc. More importantly, how do I identify such detractors and manage them in a way that they become friends in the journey who will help me in the agile transformation? So I have so many questions in my mind, right, before I start with this transformation. But even before we get into the enterprise agile transformation, what is an agile enterprise anyway, right? So I'm going to um, define an agile enterprise using 6 components. The first one is having engaged people. What do you mean by engaged people? Engaged people in an organization means they care about meaningful interactions. Although you will have tools, methods, techniques, these are extremely useful, but these are just a complementary to the way that people collaborate among them in order to create a value. They cannot be a replacement. So engaged people is one and the first and important component. Second is customer value. Focus on the customer value. People working in agile enterprise understand why they do what they are doing right now. They put customer as the focal point and focus on how to alleviate the customer pains. They focus on what is important to the customer, but not for themselves. The third important point is continuous improvement. When you talk about agile in enterprise, a constantly challenging and enhancing the way they work is simply business as usual. It's a BAU. It's not something out of the box. So uh, constantly improving at various levels is part of the DNA. In fact, an enterprise will never finish becoming an agile. The fourth component is um, empiricism. What do you mean by empiricism? Empiricism, as the definition goes on, you rely on the information that you see and immediately validate it. So there are no theories or hypotheses. Everyone in the organization is empowered to openly provide their ideas, opinions, and suggestions. And the fifth important point is the adaptability, which means the people in the organization do not try to predict the unpredictable. Instead, uh, they assume that there are unknown unknowns. The best way to design an agile organization is to design an organization that can adapt to the unexpected events and to recover quickly instead of trying to resist the changes. So that's what an adaptability means in an enterprise agile. And the sixth one is sustainability. Um, and enterprise agility is not a quick fix solution, but what you're looking at is like a more like a lifestyle change, a permanent shift. It's a permanent way of operating. In short, when I want to lead an agile, when I want to transform an organization into agile, what it means to me is having an organization of engaged people who's focused on relentlessly on improving the customer value and continuously improving the way that they operate with an empirical mindset, and they embrace change in a more sustainable manner, right? So that's your definition of an agile enterprise. And a brief reference to the 15th state of agility report. And as you can see that the software development teams adoption, agile adoption, has increased from 37% in 2020 to 86% in 2021. Not only that, the main thing to note here is the adoption has not only increased in software department, but also in areas outside of IT, such as finance, human resource, and marketing. It's not a cakewalk. I mean, it's not like a walk in the park. You still have barriers in terms of agile adoption. The top three barriers that you can see is inconsistencies in process and practices, cultural clashes, and general organization resistance to change. So these are some of the top three barriers in agile adoption. So let's go on. Let's move on to the fact on how do I manage the barriers in agile adoption, especially how do I manage those detractors? How do I manage the stakeholders who might potentially ruin the agile transformation, right? So with respect to that, I'm going to talk in the next 10 minutes, or maybe like 7 or 8 minutes, the 5 different types of stakeholders whom you need to manage in order for a successful agile transformation. The first one is, I'm calling them as someone who's belligerent, right? As the name suggests, belligerent people are usually abusive and intimidating. They come out charging with so many questions. They bully you, and they also have um, they have critical view of everything, mostly on the negative side. They come into, they like serious arguments, right? And these people usually um, they achieve their short-term objective at the cost of relationships and losing friendship, right? So these are some of the people you would have already seen in agile transformation. So um, most likely they will be in powerful positions. And how do we deal with such kind of people? So when you go for agile transformation, and the moment you start talking about, hey, can I engage your teams, and then they say, I don't think it works, and then they say, sometimes they even start attacking you personally, saying that, oh, I found these things are more theoretical, so on and so forth, right? So how do you manage such kind of people is, don't rush, don't argue or try to cut down them. Give them a little time to run down. Also, at the same time, you don't really need to be polite. Try to get in any way that you can to seek their attention, right? Some ways that you can get attention is maintain some eye contact, um, perhaps call them by name, or sit or stand deliberately next to them. So these are some of the things that you can try in order to get their attention. Important thing is, cut down on the argument, don't argue, and also state your own opinions in a way that they can understand, and be ready to be friendly with belligerent people, right? The second important people that you can see in the agile transformation is complainer. um, so the three important attributes of complainer. The first one is they consider themselves as powerless, they are prescriptive, and they are perfect, right? So these attributes make them to complain about everything, because uh, they are a perfectionist, and if something they find that it's not aligned with what they think, they start complaining. The problem with complainers is they never seem to take any action to change anything, right? Sometimes their complaints may be genuine, sometimes may not. But more importantly, you can see it's just complaining. There is no real desire or action to fix those complaints, right? So those are the people you can say, oh, okay, I've tried this. There have been so many agile coaches came in the past, and Kanban doesn't work, Scrum doesn't work for my team, this and that. So this kind of people, they keep on complaining without getting into the solution. So what can you do with people who are complainers? The best way that you can do is listen attentively to their complaints, even if you feel guilty or impatient. That way, they feel heard. They feel they are heard. They feel they are valued, right? So shift or move quickly to the problem solving mode. Spend like 10-20%, 20 to 30% of your time listening to the complaints, but remaining 70% change gears and then move into the problem solving mode. You don't need to necessarily agree to their complaints. Perhaps what you can do is, yeah, I hear you, I understand what you're saying, and you can kind of paraphrase or summarize their complaints, right? If nothing works out, perhaps you can ask them, hey, listen, I understand you have some issues and so on and so forth, but looks like we are hitting the dead end now, and I don't see this conversation is leading us nowhere. It doesn't lead us to nowhere. How do you want to end this discussion? So be open and then ask that question. And third people is super agreeable. So such kind of people will will not put you in trouble instantly, because these are the people who love attention. um, they don't they want to be in the good books of everyone, right? So they are sincere, supportive to everyone, so the only word that you hear from them is always yes. They always say yes to whatever you say. But what happens? They commit themselves to actions, but they don't deliver it. They they fail miserably in delivery, because they value relationship more than anything else than the commitment. So they don't want to disappoint people, so they instantly say yes for whatever you ask for, even they know if that's not possible, right? So this kind of people, or someone like, you need to be really um, you need to be really careful about it. So what you can do with them is, you need to work hard to ask probing questions, and and uncover the real issue, right? um, Tell them that you also respect the relationship, and if there's something that he or she promised and cannot deliver, that might interfere with the relationship, right? So put that stick there, put that stick saying that, okay, you committed to something, so make sure that our relationship is kind of relying on this kind of commitments, right? um, so be ready to compromise and see if you want to negotiate, if there is anything that you wanted to do. Listen to their concerns, or maybe ask questions, and take it forward from there. So that's your super agreeable. um, the fourth type of stakeholders who might be a potential detractors to a transformation is the know all. So these people, they they speak in a way that they know all the stuff. Most of the time, yes, they know all the stuff. They are expert in what they are talking about, and they're really sharp and complex to deal with. They would like to be recognized for their expertise, for their ability, and they're so certain about what they say. The problem with that approach, with this kind of know-all people is, since they are so certain, maybe adamant, uh, they are not open for any kind of opinions or suggestions. A very good example would be, you could have seen these people saying that I have worked as a product owner, as a scrum master, or as agile coach in all my roles in the last 10 years in different companies, and this is how things should work, right? This is how it has to work. They don't understand that, okay, that the environment is different from what it used to be. They have the expert, but they don't want to listen to other people's opinions, and they talk in a way that they are talking to a kid, right? They give step by instructions to you. They like to dominate conversations and like to be the center of attention as well. And they're difficult to deal with. I'm telling you from my experience, they're very difficult to deal with. And how do you deal with them? Make sure that you get your facts right. Important thing. So you can't go without any facts, or any data points, or with kind of ambiguous statement, right? So you need to prepare yourself thoroughly, all the data points before you initiate any conversation with them. So try to avoid any dogmatic statements. And if you want to disagree, make it tentative. You don't need to have your disagreement in a very strong way, saying that no, it worked in that place. I'm sure that it's not going to work in this situation. So try to avoid such kind of statement. Um, One thing that I found myself is, you can acknowledge openly their knowledge, and for some time and for some time you can choose to be a subordinate for them, right? Just to get their initial rapport, saying that yes, I know you all know everything, so let's see how we can work together. I'm happy to work with you, and probably look forward to the instructions, right? So you can start with that kind of approach with know all people. And last is indecisive. This is something like the people. There's a perfectionist who is trying to get out, right? The problem with indecisive people is they lack in communication skills. Because of that, the people around them really don't respect and they procrastinate the decision, right? So it's basically a perfectionist who is unable to communicate their thoughts and opinions. And how do you respond to such people is, you need to share your honest opinion on what you see, what you hear. Sometimes you can be a part of the problem, so you can check if you're really a part of the problem, and take it accordingly. So make the issues open, and then try to resolve. So these are the 5 different types of the stakeholders that you will notice in your agile transformation, and some ways that you can respond them. So a quick fact check in the chat window. Will you be able to type like what kind of stakeholders you mostly deal with? If you have dealt with mostly with belligerent, type A; with complainer, type B; super agreeable, type C; no all, D; and indecisive, E. Maybe a quick check, that would be good. Let's take few seconds because we are already on dot at I think 3:35 Japan time. So you can type A, B, C, D, E, depending on what type of stakeholders you have dealt with in the transformation. Okay. Kenichi Takeshi says B, complainers. Okay. And A and D, no, all, and belligerent. Okay. Let's give another 10 seconds or so. A, B, D, belligerent, no, one, and all of types. Okay. C, D, D. There is no E, surprisingly. No indecisive people. There is a lot of no all here. Lot of no all. Cool. Great. Thanks for the response. And that kind of concludes my presentation. And I'm happy to get connected with you. You can use your QR code in the LinkedIn. And if I believe that you found this session, even though it's short, as a valuable one. Thank you.
Thank you for presentation, Rammohan. Please.
All right. Thanks. And talk to you soon. Bye.